Okay, I've got 3 rails up. I've got them down to about 1.5 hours each. They're 37-foot rails with 7 mounts per rail. Asphalt shingle roof, so it's relatively easy. I'm going to show you my ways to do it. Off of the fascia board, I found where the nails were for the fascia into the rafters. And then I, on the ends, on the end over there and this far end over here, you can barely see it, but I did a chalk line with the big square, like a drywall square. Up the roof, I did the chalk line. And then I also, then to verify, went every 2 feet and made these red marks. So you can see the red marks pretty close to the chalk line right here. So then you get this chip tools. I've been loving it. It's pretty handy. So you drill where you think the rafter is. You drill 1 inch or 2 over, no more than 3 from where you think the rafter is. So I just went over a little bit here. You can see the hole. And then what you do is you take this tool and you stick it in the hole like that. Let me see, it might be better from the side. So you can see it's curved. So you stick it in the hole just like that, and then you slide this piece out. Now when that wire hits the rafter, it stops it obviously, and then this is a calibrated distance, whatever, I don't know what the heck this is, 3/4 of an inch. So this edge will find the center of the stud. So then, oops, sorry. So then you make a little white mark there, right? And then you spin it. And there was a little white mark there that I made. And then I just take the flashing, this IronRidge product that I'm using. And then I just line up the 2 mark that was here and the mark that was here, and I just make my little line. This yellow line is the row of shingles that I wanted it matched up to over on that other end. You can kind of see a brick way over there. But if you follow it down, it comes to here. So that's how I figured out where I wanted to drill, was on this course of shingles and on this line. And you can see I staggered just to distribute the load. So these 2 are going to be the rails for 6 landscape orientation panels, and this is the top rail, and then I'm doing the bottom rail right now. So I'll have 2 rows of landscape panels. But anyway, so I just staggered them so it would help distribute the weight, not all be on the same rafters. I staggered them 2 feet. So there's a rafter there. The next rafter is 2 feet over, and I put that one. And then from that set, it's 6 feet to this set. So it's 6-foot span, 2 foot off centered. And then that's when I came to this location and I drilled that hole, found that stud, or that rafter. And then now I'm going to slide the shingle or the flashing in. Okay, so all I did was pull out that chip tools. I think it's got the website on it. Anyways, it's chiptools.com, and for some reason they spell tools with a Z. But so now what you do is, like I said, there's that yellow line. That's where I want, right where this white line is right about where I line up the center. They give you this nice viewing hole. That's where I want to line up this edge of the flashing. Has to be, they say it's not supposed to be over the edge. You can go up pretty high, but I don't want to go up so high that this circle I have to notch into this next level. So I usually go right about to where the flashing leaves like 1/8 of an inch from the shingle, and then you can see here that leaves me, you know, about 1 inch. So the way we do this on my asphalt shingles is there's a tar layer that glues it down to the bottom layer. You can see it's real hard to get up. So I just take the edge of the flashing and I milk it under there, and I have to push fairly hard to break that, there we go, to break that tar layer. And then I They have these ridges on here, so it kind of lines up. But there's my white dot. I don't know if you can see it in the blue line. Line that up, and I'm just shoving it in there. Now sometimes I get lucky, like this one. So I just pushed it in. I didn't have any nails that I hit, and it lines up good with the shingle layer. And so that's good. Now what I was getting at is sometimes I do hit nails, and I'll see if on these next ones, I have 6 more to go. If I hit a nail, what I do, like say it stops here and there's a nail because I can't push anymore, see it doesn't line up. So then I'll hit it with that brick very gently. I'll distribute the load. I'll hit the brick, so then it'll dent the flashing where the nail is, and then I use some metal cutters and I just cut a deep V to make room for that nail, because I see a lot of guys will fish under there and remove the nail. I don't know, it just seems kind of like too much work and a good chance of ruining the shingles. My shingles are already pretty much smoked. But this one we got lucky, so you just slide it up in there, line up the big view hole with the white line, and then I drill the instructions say a 1/4 inch hole, pilot hole for the lag. So I'm going to set that up. Okay, so I have the flashing where I want it, centered on the white line. I take the drill, get it ballpark close. So I have the drill set to where I only drill about this deep, and that way the lag actually goes about this deep, maybe about this deep. So that way the pilot is majority of it, but then the last 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch bites into raw meat. So there's that hole. And then we pull this out, blow it away, and now I'm going to get the caulking ready. Okay, so I got this from the solar company, the warehouse, M1 Chemlink. It's like 20 bucks on Amazon, but at the solar warehouse, there's only like 9 bucks. So whatever, it's as good as Henry's. It says it's good for roofing. So like I said, I just opened it, so let me see. Let me get a little going here. There we go. So I stick it in the thing and I pump it. Try to fill it up. And then same with this little hole. Try to fill that up too. Now this little hole is just through the plywood, so that goes pretty easy, because it goes just, whatever, it's like a 1/2 inch plywood. And then I push it down in there, make sure I get it in that hole, make sure I get it good. And like I said, I leave a little dollop on top. Okay, and then I do a little circle, nice bead around here. Good bead. Good bead. Okay. Then I can line it up with this white dot right here. I already broke the tar. And like I said, I line it up right about where we want it to be. Okay, looks a little crooked. Straighten it out. It's lined up, and then I just kind of push it down. And then, I don't know how I'm gonna do this in one hand. There we go. And then I just kind of squirt some of this. I know it's not coming out of focus because my hand's too close. Squirt some of this under there to to hold this shingle back down. Always relieve the pressure off the caulk gun after you're done. Come on, focus. Okay, I don't know why it's not focused. There we go. After I'm done squeezing, I release the pressure so it doesn't squirt out as much. A little dad tip for you. Okay, so that's that. And now I'm gonna get the, I think I left them downstairs, so I'm gonna get the mounting bracket. Be right back. Okay, I think I forgot to mention, but that pilot, or the probe hole for that tool is an 1/8 inch. I know I mentioned for this lag, they say 1/4 inch hole. And then also there's rubber under here. Like I said, this is IronRidge product. I seem to like it. I don't know, it's the only girl I've ever been with, so as far as I'm concerned, she's the best. Some people might have other opinions. But so they got there's this lip here that's supposed to, you know, prevent water from going in, and even if it was a deluge, not so much here in Southern California, but then this, if the water was to run up that, it hits this rubber. And then also there's a rubber gasket that sits on top to seal it. And then, because I'm, you know, overachiever, I coated these in, I forget the product, I'll mention it later, but it's a rubber conditioner. It's not going to get any UV down here, but it makes it more supple. So the rubber will last longer and be better for longer. So then you just drop this in. And actually the way I've been doing it is I set this on top. It doesn't matter the orientation, whether this is on the top, because you can see that it's offset, right? So as far as the instructions say, it can go this way, it can go any way you want. The top ones, I have the mounting part of it down, and this is the bottom of the top parallel set. That one goes up. So this one is going to go up. And the reason why I did it that way is so that the rail sits here kind of above, because in my head, leverage wise, I know it's not much, but if the rail was back here, it would be pulling this backwards to some degree. Whereas if it's right over top, it's just straight. So I do that, straighten it out. There's no indexing. It can, and even after you drill the lag in, it can spin. So when you're putting the rails in, it's not a big deal. Kind of wiggle it around to make sure I'm in the hole. Okay, yeah, 7/16, little guy. And then I line it up. Like I said, this doesn't really index too much. And then I drive it in. See, there's most of the pilot hole, and then it hits right there. So I have about, I don't know, with the give, about 1 inch of the actual bite. And then you can see it's crooked, right? But it's not a big deal. Look, even under load, it just straightens back out with a little bit of dad strength. I don't know what the recommended squish is, but I just go till I see that washer squish out a little bit, that rubber washer. And so we're gonna squish the washer out. I don't know, right about to there. Looks good to me. So that's the IronRidge installation. Yeah, I'm gonna do the rest of these, and then I'll catch back up with you. Okay, the mount over there is the mount that we just did, and then I just did this one on my own. And next pro tip, dad tip, is this pink like survey string. I just spent about 5 minutes burning daylight getting my ass kicked by untangling it. But all I've been doing is I don't want to put it up on this ear, because you saw how easy it was to spin. It'll just rotate it. So I've been setting it on this bolt head. Barely catches, but it's been doing fine. And then I come over to this side, and it's kind of pre-tightened already. You can see the shingles over here look new, in case you catch that, because a few years ago we had this patio added on. But you can see my shingles definitely need replacing, but I have a whole nother theory story on that, so that's for another video. But stretch this tight. There we go, look at that. Push it down to make sure. Now the reason why I do this is because as straight as the roof looks, the shingles do have little undulations or variations or whatever fancy word you want to use. So if I was to put all these mounts, so you can see on these, every end, that end mount, that end mount, and that end mount, and then over there are lined up dead nuts with the shingle like I did on these ones. But you can see as you come through here, that one's a 1/2 inch off, that one's like 3/4 off, that one's about 1 inch off, because I did the mounts straight from bolt to bolt, lag to lag. So that way the rail is as straight as I can make it, regardless of, because like I said, if I went to these, if I just went down the shingle row, they would have little, you know, this one's down here, the next one's up there, this one's down there, little. So anyways, I do this, the pink line, so then I line up the rest of them as straight as I can. So then I just go through and I have, like I said, I do that one, and then I go 6 foot. And you can see I have these red marks. All right, my rafters are 24 inches on center. So it's 1 rafter, 2 rafter, 3rd rafter. Now this is just my ballpark, 6 foot. So I still have to go about 1 inch or 2 over, drill my hole for the little chip tools, and then I indicate it and I do that white line. And then I do a cross right over this pink line. It's floating. It does. I don't know. You can't see it, but it's actually floating. And if it is touching in a couple spots, yeah, see, it's not touching. I just give it the old wiggle, so it rights itself. And then so the tool, I would find the vertical line, we'll call it, and this pink line will be my horizontal perpendicular line, and that's dead nuts where I will drill the hole. And then you can see the next 6 foot, that one. So the rail that I picked is max 6 foot. It's the XR10, 6 foot span, and I think 40% cantilever. So whatever that comes out to math-wise, 2.5 feet. Cantilever is like this down here from the last one. These are all long because I got to cut them, but I'm not going to cut them until I have the panels on, and I don't cut it short. But the XR100 can, I believe, cantilever 8 feet, or not cantilever, span 8 feet, and the XR1000 will span 10 or 12 feet, I forget. But obviously they're more expensive. But I didn't want big spans because I like the idea of the weight being distributed. I was going to do a mount every 4 feet and alternate them, but it's just, you know, 6 foot's good. And then it, you know, I guess it's depends on how much unlimited funds you have. If you do every 4 feet, it added a whole bunch more of these mounts. But anyways, so now I'm going to line up the flashings on all those red marks that I have, and then do my little white lines and with the chip tool and whatnot. And then I'm gonna just, so I got the beginning one in, the beginning mount and the end mount, so then I have 5 more to go. So I'm doing the 3rd one right now. That's the other end one, and this is the very first in the middles. I was just showing, so this was my ballpark going 24 inches on center, so whatever that comes out to for 3 feet, or for 3 of them, right? 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot makes 6 foot. This was ballpark, but then I used the chip tools and it found it that it's actually 1 inch over. Now a lot of guys will use the hammer tool or hammer technique. They pound and find it solid. I don't know, I guess that's close enough for you know, for a company, but as a homeowner, you tend to do things a little slower paced and a little, in my opinion, better quality. So now I know, if you watch the videos on this tool, I know that white line is dead nuts center of the stud. So my lag is going to get as much meat as possible. I'm not going to glance off the stud, or the rafter, I mean, or, you know, get into the side third of it or miss it completely. So I don't know, it's worth it. And then the other thing I forgot to mention was, so my red lines and my yellow lines were lumber crayons, and those work really good on the roofs, but they're like a 1/2 inch diameter, maybe 3/8, I don't know. They're not very, like, I mean, I guess you can grind them down to be a finer point, but then so for the fine lines, I've been using lumber crayon. They're a lot softer, so you can see I've used quite a bit of this one, but it gets me a nicer line, so I can, you know, do my crosshairs a little better. But you can see, so I did the vertical there, and then I just kind of flip this pink line. It centers itself, and then I just give it a back and a forth on the China marker. I don't know if it comes out good in the video, but I can see it fine in person. And then you can see it goes back to it. So that's how I'm going to do the 5 center ones. Okay, there's the one we did to get the line. So those ones I drilled through the flashing because that was my I don't know, bookend, I guess, for lack of a better term. The rest of these inner ones, like I said, I did the pink line with the chip tools. You can see sometimes, see on this one, and actually another one, I had to drill 2 holes because over here, I don't know if there was an extra rafter because it kind of only wiggled like 1/4 of an inch. I couldn't even spin it this way. So then I moved it over here and then I was able to tap. You can see the white line there. And then I could rotate it all the way 180 and then tap the line down here. And that's how I did. And then I used the edge of the flashing to draw my line here. So anyway, so now that I did that, I'm just going to drill these inner 5. I just got my 1/4 inch drill bit back on. And I just pop 1/4 inch hole, 1/4 inch hole, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. And then I come back through with the caulking tube and the mount. And then I'll just blow the hole out, fill these holes in with the caulk. You know, do the same thing, round to the other side, round around. And then dollop, dollop, dollop. And then when I'm done, I'll, you know, glue this back down and then we're good to go. So here's one that I can't get the flashing to line up with the shingle, like I said, because it's hitting the nail. So I'm gonna set the camera down here. I don't even know if you can see anything, but I line it up. I line the center of the flashing up with the white mark. Take my brick, and I just hit it. I don't know if you can see any of that, but I hit the flashing. See, it doesn't mess it up. It gives it kind of, you can see a teeny tiny little bit there. But you can see it kind of deforms the flashing here on this tip just a little bit, and that's why I know where to cut. So then same thing, I'm going to set you down. I just give it a deep V cut to make room for the nail because I got to go up another inch or so. Okay. And then it leaves the flashing kind of boogered, so I just take the cutters and flatten it back out. One-man show here, so sorry. Information is more valuable than my editing and video skills. But, so you can see I just kind of use the cutters to re-flatten this back out, but it makes a nice little V cut. And then let's see together. So you can see the flashing has these ridges. This is center and this is my white line. So I just kind of line it up with that. Let me use my strong hand. And then look at that. It lines up. Oh, yeah, my bad. It lines up with the shingle, but yeah, my hole, remember the pink line, the hole is actually up more, so we aren't good yet. So, and that's as far as I can get it. So let's hit it again. There might be another nail. Nope, no other nail. It was just tight squeeze. But you can see that the hole's in the center of the hole. So that one's good. Off to the next one. So this is the rubber conditioner I was telling you about, 303 Ultimate UV Protection. Regardless of the UV, it's like a rubber conditioner. So what I do is it's a little spray bottle. I spray it on there, work it around, spray it on there, work around, then I let it soak for 5 or so minutes, and then I install them. So I'm gonna do that right now to these. I was 3 short up there. I only had 4 sets and I need 7. So I'm gonna do that right now to these last 3 and then be back on the roof. Okay, the sun is long gone. It's a little darker in person than on the camera, but I got the all the mounts in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all in. It's a little after, I think it's right about 7:30. Started at 6:15. So hour and 15 minutes-ish, but a little bit slower because the old filming part of it. So, but it's too dark now, so tomorrow night or some other night I'll do the rails. So that's all for now. So here's an assortment of my screws and mounting hardware, but I wanted to show you real quick. So this is the box of the flashing. It comes with the 20 flashings, 20 lags, 20 mounts, and this is it. It's IronRidge brand Flashvue quantity 20. So far they're pretty good. Okay, we're back at it. So these are the splices for the rails. The rails I have are 14 feet. They come in 11, 14, and I don't know, some third size, bigger size. But I have 14-foot rails, so I have to splice them twice. These are the IronRidge XR something or other Boss, and they don't need to be bonded. I guess older styles, you have to put the splice in and then you tech screw bonding wire from one piece to the next. Well, these have a little, can't really see it, but it's a little sharp edge, and then this spring-loaded chingus here that bonds it. So you just slide it in. A little hard with one hand. There we go. There we go. So that's one of the splice pieces. It has this little stop in the center that stops it, centers it, I should say. And then the other piece slides onto this. And then we have these. These are the little mounting bolts that mount this to the mounts that we put up on the roof. And you can see they have these little teeth here, and there's little teeth on the nut head. And when you put them in, it's really easy. They slide in, and then when you tighten them, they rotate and they grab. And when they rotate and grab, those little teeth supposedly break through the anodizing, and the same with these. And then that is what bonds everything with the ground. All the rails will be grounded and bonded by these little teeth that everything, the mounts to the rails to the solar panel frames, everything's all bonded. So that's that. We're gonna put these up on the roof and we'll start again. A little woodpecker friend. He's not gonna be making too big a hole in that tiny branch. Okay, we're up here on the roof. I just have this fourth rail set down, but I just go through and kind of ballpark where it needs to be, and put the little then I just set it in there, kind of, oops, spun on me. There we go. Set that in there, and then I just do that to all of them. It's real loose, nice and easy. Okay, I'm going to do that to the rest of them, and then see you in a minute. Okay, I have them all loosely mounted, and then now we combine these. I don't know if you can see anything, but you slide it in. And then they go together like that. And this thing falls out, not a big deal. put it back in. And then the next one. Okay, I'm going to tighten the bolts now, and the way that I do this, the instructions say to you measure from the edge, you make a little mark at 3 feet. 3 feet, and you can't see it, but the same on that one. I'm going to do the same on this one. 3 feet from the edge. And the way you square these ends from this end to that end to that end to that end is then you have an exact 3 foot mark on each of them, and you just do a crisscross. So you measure square, which is from this corner to your 3 foot mark, and whatever it is, say, I don't know, say 40 inches, and then you measure from this corner or this edge to that 3 foot mark, and it should be 40 inches. And if it's off, like if this is 39 inches, then you have to, so you start with the top one, put that where you want it, lock it in. And then this one, if it's off, you wiggle it back or forth to get it to be equal, whatever the distance is. You know, so if that from here to here was 40 and from here to here is 39, you have to adjust this to make it equal. So you do, this one is your anchor, first one, then you set this one, and then from this one, you do the same thing. You set this one, measure from here to here, and from here to here, then you zigzag that, slide it back and forth, and then now that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna mark the 3 foot. I'm gonna measure from the end here to the 3 foot mark, and measure from the end here to the 3 foot mark, and that'll square up all of these ends. And then once I do that, I lock in this closest one. Now you see that these have, come on, there you go. You see that these have height adjustability. You can see where it was, it's all worn out there. That's where I locked it in. I didn't care about the height yet. I just wanted to make sure that it wouldn't slide laterally. And then once I lock it in, what I did, because my roof, you can't see it, but it has lots of undulations, little, you know, ups and downs between the rafters. I found the lowest point where these mounts are. I think the lowest one's like the second to the end. And then I clamped that one down at max height because I want it as high as I can get it, being that it's on the lowest point. And then from that point, then I'll work back and forward with the level, making it from that first mount that I locked in at the desired height. Then I'll make it forward all the way level off of that point. Okay, I'm at the mount that's the lowest, and I locked it in at its highest position. And then now that's my height point. And now I have my big level here. And now I'm going to raise or lower this mount to give me level. And then same thing, so I'm going to finish that because this is the tail end of it. And then from this point, we'll do the same thing forward. I'm going to lay the level here, raise or lower that until it's level, lock it in, rinse and repeat. Level, lock it in, level, lock it in, level, lock it in, level, loosen, and then readjust and lock it in. And then we know it's straight this way. It might look wonky right now because nothing's tightened down, but we know it's straight this way because we did that pink landscape line or whatever it's called, the rope string. So we know it's going to be straight this way. Now we just want it to be straight this way, you know, so it's not high and low because the panels have to sit on it real nice. And then we're all done. Okay, a little bonus extra. I don't know, every utility in cities may be a little different, but where I live, for fire codes, the panels can't be any closer than 3 feet to the edge, so the firemen or whoever can walk up on the roof. And same on the from the ridge, from panel to panel has to be 3 feet. So from the ridge down, you can only be 18 inches. And then the ridge down this way, you have to be 18 inches. So it leaves a 3 foot wide path. So having said that, I have 4 more panels going on this side. You can kind of see some red marks. But so even from this valley here, this California valley, because we don't get much rain. But you can see, so I measured out from center here out this way 18 inches, and then same thing with here, center of my valley out was 18 inches, and that told me where I could put my, so this line is 18 inches from center. This line is the width of the panel. You can see here, so from the ridge to this line is 18 inches, and then from this line to this line is the width of my solar panel. And then from that intersection is where the end of my solar panel goes. So that's why there's the L here. So this is visually going to be my solar panel in this from here to here. That's just a center line over to here. So there's one panel, and there's going to be two panel, and then on the stagger on this one is going to be 3 panel, and right out here you can see the line, there'll be the 4 panels. So it'll be kind of a zigzag because of the pit, or because of the angle of this valley. The other side I made nice and straight because I came off the front, came backwards. But you can see right now the front of my house is in the shade, and back here is still sunny. That's why I wanted these other 4 back here, and I'm going to stagger them to get as much sun as I can for as long as I can. So that's how you kind of lay it out. And then now what I'm going to do is kind of use the old hammer test to ballpark where the rafters are. I can see where these mounts were, right? There's a rafter there, but up here they stagger, right? Like one's here and then one's offset a little bit. So from that rafter, let's get in line here, from this rafter on this side, the rafter that I'm standing on has got to either be to the right of it or to the left of it. They kind of cross up in the center, at least they should. They might, there's sometimes I guess they might butt to each other, but anyways, I don't know. So I'm going to do the old hammer test, find it, and then I'm going to use my little that little Chip Tools brand rafter finder to dial it in exact. And then the same thing, then I'm going to go from wherever I do that one, 6 foot. So there'll be a few more mounts over on this side, and that's my next little half of the project. And for the Flashvue, when you do mount the rails to the roof mounts, 250 inch-pounds torque. So I just threw them on there with my impact gun, but I got to go back and torque them all. I'm over here on the west side of my roof. I forgot to mention the reason why I used that pink like survey line or whatever it's called, string, was because my chalk line wasn't long enough to go 38 feet from one end to there. So I found it was just easier just to use that line. But now that I'm on this side and it's only 2 panels, 1 panel, 2 panel, now I'm using the chalk line because it's shorter.